Hello everybody, today I will be talking about the job of wildlife technician. A wildlife technician helps gather data about animals and their environments. A wildlife technician may speak publicly about conservation, work for state or federal organizations, environmental consulting firms, or conservation organizations. For example, I'm sure that many of you have heard and maybe watched the popular show Dora the Explorer. Well, she has a cousin named Diego, and Diego has a sister named Alicia. Alicia is a wildlife technician. She records and collects data about the animals that Diego rescues. Job description. Wildlife technicians observe and monitor wildlife in their natural habitats. Technicians must know laws and regulations relevant to wildlife and ensure that their employers are compliant with these regulations. For example, natural resource companies, environmental consulting firms, and local, state, and federal government agencies must be compliant with these regulations. These conservationists survey wildlife areas by land, sea, and air to compile data and inspect wildlife habitats. They count members of wildlife communities, compile accurate inventories, and report their findings. They may physically corral and tag animals or simply monitor animal activities. Technicians may speak to the public on wildlife issues and interact with others in the wildlife industry. They analyze maps which depict the land areas where animals traverse. Wildlife technicians manage computer databases of wildlife inventories. They create, analyze, and distribute reports based on this information. Job duties. Wildlife technicians work with mapping and GPS equipment to monitor and track animals. Educating individuals and groups on local wildlife may also be part of their jobs. National parks and nature centers often have education programs led by wildlife technicians. In addition, technicians might be required to coordinate and lead researchers and visitors on tours of wildlife areas. These technicians identify animals within their habitat and search for habitat problems, such as inaccurate animal inventories or something more severe, such as physical dangers caused by animals, humans, or other causes. They might need to physically manipulate or repair structures that house wildlife. Depending on the specific duties and habitats for which they are responsible, wildlife technicians work in laboratories and also in the field. Technicians might collect samples of vegetation from the field and process them in the lab. In labs, they can work with equipment such as microscopes and computerized robotic systems. Wildlife technician education requirements. A 2-year associate's degree in wildlife management, biology, or a related field is typically enough to get started as a wildlife technician. Some technicians may be required to hold a bachelor's degree for long-term and more complicated jobs. Courses required for wildlife technicians may also include biology, ecology, wildlife management, natural streams and plants, wildlife management techniques, natural resource conservation, wildlife population, and forest ecology. Sign tracking. The most important thing a wildlife technician needs or should know is how to track down animals in the wild. Much of this is done by what is called sign tracking. About half of tracking is sign tracking and the other half is working with actual tracks. So you will need to know the first half to complete the second half. There are 4 different types of signs: large-scale signs, medium-scale signs, small-scale signs, and finally, go-scale signs. Large-scale signs. 1. Landscape tracking. This is reading the landscape to locate animals. In most landscapes, there are islands where many species will be found. One way to look is to find the best islands for herbivores. Wherever there are herbivores, carnivores will always follow. The areas between the islands will tend to be scarce in animals, except areas where animals will tend to pass through. Number 2. Travel routes. Animals will tend to take the easiest route of travel across the landscape, just like you and I, for example, around boulders, etc., as they are being pursued. This results in the creation of a number of roadway systems within the habitat. However, sticking to a roadway system when being chased is really poor. The prey is usually smaller than the predator and therefore tries to push through tiny openings in deep brush where the larger predator cannot follow. Medium scale signs. This makes up the largest assortment and most definitive sign. It is found all over, especially on trails and runs. Some signs you might notice are feathers, fur, hair on trees, scratches, footprints, and also scat. By studying and analyzing the scat, you can see what kind of animal made it and how long ago the scat was made. For example, the picture you are looking at right now are most likely from rabbits and hares because their scats mostly look like tiny little M&Ms. Small scale signs. Compressions. This is both a track and a sign. On any surface there are dust particles and grit which collect signs. When anything walks over this surface, it either presses the grit into the surface or removes it. Ghost sail signs. This is an interface between tracks proper and disturbances not on the ground which disappear. Salary and employment outlook. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, the number of job opportunities for forest and conservation technicians, including wildlife technicians, was expected to decline by 6% from 2014 to 2024. As of 2015, the BLS found that forest and conservation technicians earned $35,430 as a median annual income. Thank you for watching my presentation.